Jadi ordeal them in banana.
All right. Okay. Let's do stream a little bit. Talks, chat, over chat. Great. Chat problems again? Okay, looks like it worked that time. We'll give it a few minutes. So far, no drop frames, looking good. We'll see. Wondering, there was a way settings, advanced viewing info. Settings, advanced. See viewing info. This isn't Streamlabs, is it? Settings for advanced. Then the browser source. I don't have that as one of my choices. Okay. screwing around, goofing off, first thing I'm going to do is put a bend in this bar. So I'll get it in the fire and start heating it up. Just a piece of 1/2 inch bar. Alright, so we're heating up the bar. We're going to go ahead and just do a hold fast. First thing I'm going to do is do a nice upset 90 degree corner. So I'm taking a pretty good heat on the center of the bar. I'm going to take about 6 inches of material, leave about six inches out, and bend it. What's up, Lexi? I had my club meeting was today, and I was hammering pretty good earlier. So I'm kind of gonna just do a little hold fast tonight, take it a little easy. My hold fast and my anvil, my Pritchell hole is just a hair under 5/8, which is kind of weird. But I find that 1/2 inch works pretty good in there. So I'm going to start with a 1/2 inch square bar. I'm going to put a bend in it. Keeping it straight. Pushing material into that corner. You see it's just got a bend in it. We're just gonna. Nice thing about that bend is now I can put that bend in the fire down in a little bit and get a good heat right in that one area. Oh! And who knows, I might get lazy and just go over here and do the shank on the power hammer, or I might do it by hand. I don't know yet. But when you're upsetting, you're going to want to keep it really hot, so you'll see me go back and throw it in even though it looks like it's got a lot of heat in it. First off, the camera makes it look hotter than it is. And secondly, I really do want a lot of heat in that corner. So what you been up to? Have you heard anything with Big Dog yet, or? We kind of heard that he was gonna start doing the blacksmith church again, but I haven't heard anything lately. It doesn't look like very much is happening, but that bar is getting a little bit bigger in that area. Watching the rain. Yeah, it was, well, it's snow season here. It was snowing a little bit today. Not really bad, and most of what came down melted right back off. Sometimes when I'm doing these offset corners, hey Tim, what's up? Sometimes when I'm doing these offset corners, I'll come over, clamp it in the vise, because that'll help hold it. Yes, it's back to doing every Sunday 6 a.m. Holy cow! That can't be 6 a.m. Oh, Pacific time. So 6 a.m. Pacific time would be what, 9 my time? I don't know. It's getting there. You can see I'm starting to push that material into the corner and fill out that corner. Peachy. I'll have to look and see what time 6 p.m. is for me. I mean, this morning I wouldn't have been able to catch it anyway because I was at my my region's, my local chapter, whatever you want to call it, region chapter of New York State Designer Blacksmiths. I was at my meeting. So I wouldn't have caught it this morning anyway, but now I'm going to heat that up. I'm actually going to pop the other way in the vise and hammer a little bit from the other direction. All right. But I just need a little bit, like a 1/4 of an inch sticking out of my vise. It's going to push it in. So it's going to allow me to push some. Before it gets slid in all the way. You can see it's pushing it right out to that corner. I think I got enough material out there now. I just got to make sure it's all the same size because I get a little swelling on either side of the 9 o'clock my time. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look up Big Dog and check it out. So anyway, we're just making a nice simple hold down. You know, I mean, I got them like that. I kind of like to do them with nice square corners on them. And then go and round up my stem. I've done them the other way like this. And they do work. I mean, and they're nice for when you need something to throw in an iron in the hat at a meeting or something. I get so many of these laying around the shop that find a relatively sharp edge, pull it back, put that, make the inside of that corner nice and crisp. There's some guys out there that do that in like one heat. Now I got a good square corner there. Alright. I'll heat up farther down in the bar and cut it off. What have you been making lately, Tim? I really don't know how much material and where the upset material is in relation to the bend. I mean, on most of my projects, I'll do my upset square and then do the rest after that. And I'll just, like on this, I'm just kind of guessing. If I had to do a bunch of them, then I'd just see how much it takes to taper out. And, you know, since this is a one-off, it's not a big deal. But I understand what you're saying, because if you start doing like a square or a grill or a gate or something like that, and you need to know exactly where the center of that's going to be, you need to adjust because you're pushing that material in. And I'm not sure what the formula is for that, and I'm sure there is one. I'd never done anything with a square corner that I needed to do that with. Because the inside length doesn't change. The inside of the corner, that length doesn't change. So there's got to be a formula that would be like add maybe half the width of the bar or the thickness of the bar. So if this is half, then maybe add like 1/4 of an inch length, so that you'll have the materials to push out to the outside corner. But I can't say that for sure. I would have to actually look it up and see if anybody already says that, or ask somebody. Alright, let's cut this bar off. You don't need quite that long. Maybe about here. Cut most of the way down through, then just grab it and wiggle it off, so I'm not running my hammer into my cutter. Alright, I'll get that back in the fire. Now my Pritchell hole is, well, I measured it with a set of calipers, and it's just under 5/8 of an inch. But I find that if I make it 1/2 inch round, it has to, if it's too tight, it won't lock. It has to tip in that hole a little bit in order to lock. That's why they don't work well in anvils that you see where they got the hole, hardy hole over here, and it's real thick and deep, because they can't tip. They work a lot better in a thin anvil. But if I take this 1/2 inch and just start rounding it up, I think by the time I hit round, it'll fit in that hole. That was just bringing it to octagon. So I went ahead and rounded up about 1/2 of it already. Get it back in the fire. Yeah, the demo at our club, because we're getting a lot of new people still. Did a horse had a little bit of spatula that ended up being a steak? A spatula that ended up being a steak? Yeah, I understand, man. I understand. I started doing a fork that I probably should have finished and made it into a steak flipper because the fork broke off. But I was getting it down pretty fine. Alright, so once this heats up, I'll pull it out. But the club today, they were doing a like a small garden trowel, but they were using a railroad spike for a handle. And then they had a piece of tin that they were putting on, or stainless. As a matter of fact, you'd have a piece of stainless like this. This isn't it, but. And then they'd make a handle and then rivet the handle on. And the handle was made out of a railroad spike. And so the new guys were there, and I started doing one just so that I could show them some of the techniques. And help with the training and the teaching of the new people. So you can see I got it rounded up pretty good where it's going to drop into the hardy hole, or the Pritchell hole, excuse me. So it'll drop in there, And now these, I like to draw them out and taper them down. I probably have more material there than what I need. But I will draw that down. This will end up being, this is like 6 inches long now. So by the time I get it drawn down, it should be pretty long. It'll be out there, out here in the middle of the anvil like that one. This one I made that really, really long, but how often do I clamp something in that high? Well, it's not 9/16. It's actually, well, I'll tell you, it is 1, 0. When I thought it moved. .612, which is just under 5/8. .5/8 would be 0.625, wouldn't it? I think so. I can't see my chart back there on that far wall, and I got cameras and stuff in the way. But I think it's 0.625 is 5/8. So let's leave a little material on the end to make our make the little circle out of. And we'll start tapering that down. The camera makes it look a lot hotter than it is, and I'm going to keep going back because I want to work this hot. I want to work any harder than I have to. I worked hard enough earlier. All right. Once again, if you look at the angle of my hammer, you'll see that I'm digging the corner right into that. Now I'll go back and flatten it out and size it up. You can see it's got, well, maybe you can't see when it's hot, but it's full of notches because I'm pulling it out, drawing that out. I could go over the horn and draw it there. I can go over the far side of the anvil, although I'd have to turn my anvil around because I wouldn't want that really sharp corner. I'd want this one that's round. This side's got like a, not a lot, maybe a 3/8 diameter radius on it. That gives me the option of drawing stuff out there. You can definitely see now how notchy it is. If you do it that way, you got to be careful, because sometimes it's very easy to put deep notches and go way beyond where you want to until you get pretty good at it. And you see guys that are good at it, and they're like, "Ah, do it this way, do it this way." But they keep forgetting that they messed up a lot trying to learn and get proficient at it. And I'm not too bad at it, but not great. Okay, so I want to taper that in both directions down. But yeah, it was a good question, Lexi, and I'll definitely go online and look it up. There's got to be a formula for how much to leave there to push back into that bend when you upset it. So drawing down my taper, you can see there's still a couple deep notches in it. We'll get rid of them. We'll just keep going. I'm going to go mainly now doing what Rob hates, Rob Huff, and that's just banging flats, because I got to get it down and smoothed out. Hey Ray, how you doing? Yeah, I'm doing a holdfast with a 90-degree corner on it. I just started, and well, I didn't start right at 6 because I waited for some people to come in. But I started maybe 6:10. And we're bringing her down. I'm only I'm leaving that off the edge so I don't squish it. What I'm looking for is a good smooth taper, so that it has a progressive spring to it. And you can see I'm drawing that taper down, drawing it down a little bit in that direction, and she's ½ an inch thick there, down to about a little under quarter maybe on the other end. And I've left the piece out there to make my round with. Been drawn out over the edge of the anvil. Yeah, I mean, it does work. And like I said, it works. It's very effective. It's more aggressive than going over the horn, but at the same time, it's more aggressive than going over the horn. So when you make a mistake, it's real easy to go too far. Yeah, and this is going to be done before we know it. So I don't know if these guys got any requests, and it's something that I know how to do, that I've done enough times I'm comfortable with. I can do whatever. Alright, now I'm going to go down and work on that blob on the end. You see I'm starting to round up that blob and give myself that nice little foot. I really wasn't expecting this project to be done quite that fast. I don't know what I was thinking. I've got 5 or 6 of them laying around the shop, so I haven't made one in a while. Let me work on making that a little bit more round. Hopefully my head isn't getting in the way. And sometimes the secret is, don't rush it. If you get in a hurry, I mean, you can see it's off-centered, but it's starting to get nice and round. And my thickness is proportionate to my stem. Hey, what's up, Tommy boy? A 100-pound anvil. Is it a good one? I mean, is it a decent one, or? And that's about the weight of this anvil, and I'll tell you, I had a 300-pounder in this shop, and I took it out and got rid of it. I sold it because I couldn't stand it, and I liked working on a smaller anvil. All right. Right now what I'm trying to do is get the symmetry and get it centered and nice and round. And I can't stress enough, don't be in a big hurry. Because all you'll do is create a bunch of crap. Take your time, you can get them shoulders across from each other. You can get them looking nice and round. centered. That's still oh yeah, okay. JHM certifier. Is that one of the ones that's got the funny little turning things in it? It's got like a notch cut out of the back. Back here, it's got like a notch cut out. Huh. Like I said, sometimes just a couple extra heats just to make sure you get it right pays dividends. You see I got a nice round there. The shoulders are about even and it's centered pretty good. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what them notches are for on the back, but somebody told me it was so they could do shoe adjustments while it was cold. But it's not my virtue. Yeah. I started with a piece of 1/2 inch square on this rig, and I didn't think I was going to finish this fast, but I haven't done one in quite a while, so. And I was at my my local regional meet, and I was doing some pretty good hammering earlier. So, all right. So, I think I want my heat a little farther back, so I can start bending that and shaping it. When you go to make your bends, if your work is full of notches and it's bumpy, it's going to be hard to get smooth bends. So if you try to get your tapers nice and straight and smooth first, your bends, you won't be fighting them as much. Oh man. And I think your package will be probably in your box tomorrow. And Thomas is going to get mad because I've sent hammers to quite a few people and he still hasn't gotten one. Okay, yeah, I heard something about it was for sizing it when it was cold. And it was pretty specific to horseshoeing, ferrying, or whatever you want to call it. All right, that's not a bad curve. What I'm going to do is I gotta straighten this out a little bit. Notice I'm leaving the part off my anvil so that I don't damage that part. And I'm just trying to straighten so that when I'm looking at it this way, it's nice and straight. And it's got the bend in it. Then we'll go cool it right up and we'll test it. And if it's good, when you lock it in, this one's reaching way out there, I can pick my anvil up with it locked in. It's not coming off. But this is not hitting. It's hitting back here. So we got to put a little more bend in it. All right, have we thought about anything else? Hey, hold on, Lex. I never got paid the $50, so I gave you a... I know, that other guy that was supposed to pay me the $50 never paid me, so I gave you a vice for... And I'm not complaining. Just, it ain't the end of the world. It was a 5-inch pipe, wasn't it? Maybe it was 6. I don't know. I can't remember. 5.5. Alright, so I'll do just a little adjustment here and give it a little bit more bend so that yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, well, it is what it is. I am not worried about it, trust me. Now that one looks funny, but it's reaching way out to the center of my anvil. So if I want to get the same exact bend, you know, like that I get in one of these, the same degree of bend, it would be this tall. And I don't need that. I just need one to hold something way out here, and that'll work. So, now I can cool this. Anybody come up with any ideas yet? Yeah, and Alexis, it was kind of funny because I do come across these post vices in my area. A set of barbecue tongs, either hinged or sprung. Okay. A set of barbecue tongs for what purpose? For like, what size stock did you start with? Thomas, I was just asking for somebody to come up with an idea for something for me to make because, well, basically, I started this and finished it way too soon. And so, either hinged or sprung. Sprung would be really pretty easy. Let's try 1/4 by 3/4. All right, let's do 1/4 by 3/4. Let's do, I have to be able to make some reference marks so that I can keep it even. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, I think if I block it out 1 inch, that's going to be a massive, you know, the part that grabs. Once you thin it down a little bit, and I'm like scavenging all over my shop. I really need to go buy some more soapstone. Alright, here's what I'll try. I will try 3/4 inch. I got to go into, start out at like 10 because as you can see I burn all the numbers off my tape measure. Make a gift for a family or friend. Well, Thomas, I don't have any friends. You've met me, so I'm sure you can understand why. Okay, so I'm going to go 3/4 square right off the beginning. I'm going to say 4 inches. And I'm winging it. I'm just guessing. And that's what a lot of it is. You don't need them exact measurements if you just try stuff. Because that 4 inches on 3/4 is going to draw out to at least 8 inches long. So we've got 3/4, 4 inches. For the hinge part, 1/4 thick. So whatever I take, I'm going to probably take it down close to 1/8 inch, so it's going to grow twice as long. So 2 inches will give me 4 inches, which will be about a little over 1 inch in that loop. So I think I want to go probably, let me go 3 inches. Then I'm going to go my 4 again. And then I'm going to go my 3/4. Now, mind you, I'm making up numbers in my head. I'm doing this on the fly. And that's what a lot of this blacksmithing is. If you're not doing a copy of a historical reproduction or something, then having exact sizes, if you're not trying to copy something already made, having the exact size isn't necessarily a big deal. Now, if you're trying to copy something precisely that somebody else made, yes, you have to do a lot of measurements. Okay. So, here's what I got. This is going to be the part that's going to actually touch the hot dog. 3/4 by 3/4. I left a 4 inch piece here. I left 3 inches in here. That's going to be the spring. That's another 4 inches, and the part that holds the hot dog to match the other side. So, I take my cutter. Now my cutter, it's pretty hard. I'll be honest with you. I nick bars a lot in that cutter. I don't want to use that hammer, but I nick bars a lot in that cutter, and I've only dulled it really bad once. I put a 3/8 or a 3/16 bar across there. I don't know what it was made from, but it was so hard it left a nice divot right in my cutter. But I do put marks in cold all the time on this, and I've only sharpened it like twice the whole time I've had it. And I've had this 25 years. So now I'm just putting in my reference marks. My next question is, I got to ask myself, So you can see I just put a divot, a mark in the side of the bar. I find that that mark is a lot easier to see when it's hot than if I put a hot punch mark in there. So let's heat this up, and we're just winging it. Let's see what happens. Now the next question you got to ask yourself, yeah. The next question you got to ask yourself is, do you want to use a spring fuller or a guillotine tool to neck that down, or do you just want to use the anvil and the hammer? And I'll be honest with you, I bought one of these at Quad State, and I had one already, and I assembled that, and I haven't touched it since. I haven't even cut the die material in it to make a shape on the end of the die. I've been trying to do everything with the hammer and the anvil without using as many tools as I can. So I want to come in, pinch some material off, bring it down, taper it down, draw it out. We'll figure out what looks good. We'll put a mark on the anvil so that when we go to the other side, we know exactly where we want to be. I'm going to dump some fresh coal right on top of my fire. I don't care. My chimney draws really well. Everything goes out. This coal is really horrible coal. I'm not going to lie. Uncle Buck's guillotines. Yeah, and like I said, I got the guillotine tool, but then I started doing, trying to do it just by hitting just in the right spot with my hammer, and working on getting my hammer control accurate to where I can pinch them down on some stuff. I come far way back here only because I wanted that sharp corner. The first one, I'm just setting them. Then after that, I'll start drawing. You can see I didn't do very much. I just got it set and laid out. Yeah, one of them barrier examples. I thought you were gonna, tell me you got a nice Peter Wright or, a Hay Budden or an old Trenton or something really nice, but no, it had to be one of them horseshoe examples. That, and I wouldn't know what to do with it. There's things on there for making toe clips and turning and stuff that doesn't exist on my anvil, so. Woo! That's hot. see it's starting to taper down. It's just like I used a spring puller. And I keep getting, in my area, over the years, it seems like once a year I get offered a real big vise for $50 or something like that. So, one year I bought that one that Alexis has. I think it was last year I brought the one that Shane Lalong wanted. Or no, that was 2 years ago. And then last year, I brought one that I traded to Mark Ling. And that's when I got this hammer. Because yeah, Alexis, that hammer, or that post vise, I usually just ask whatever I paid for them. So that one was like $50. Shane Lalonde had mentioned that somebody was going to be looking for one for him because he wouldn't be getting there till late, and I told him I had one I was selling and he wanted it. And I told him I'd give it to him for what I paid for it, and I paid $35. That was a nice 5.5-inch Indian Chief. Now the question is just how far down. I've got my mark right here, so I'm starting to draw my taper from here down. And the question is, how long do I want to make that, and how thin? And I'll go some more. And I don't know exactly how long you want me to make them. Yeah, and sometimes you just get that great deal you can't turn down. One more heat and I'll know about where it's going to be if I'm going to do it just like that. And if I don't think it's going to be long enough, then I'll make a section of this . Okay, so my mark is here. Those are going to be really short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step it down here and then draw that out so that it's basically like 1/4 inch round when I get done. Okay. I'm trying to think. Did he do any hammering this time at Quad State, Thomas? Do you remember? I know that me, Thomas, Jack Pines, oh crap, I can't remember that fourth guy's name. when we were cutting off the axle. What was that guy, the other guy's name? He was from Lake Indiana. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to eyeball about, I don't know, an inch or so. Whoa! I'm going to burn that if I keep talking. Find my mark. Come about an inch and start drawing some more length on that. Once again, see the angle of my hammer, digging that corner in to make it draw faster. And you can see all the bumps in it from digging that corner in. Yeah, I don't remember him doing any hammering. So, who knows, if he ever shows up in one of these live streams or something, we'll have to get on him about it. But, then again, I can remember when I started and I didn't like people watching me either. So, alright, so I'm going to take that and I'm going to draw that out till it's about 1/4 inch square and then round it up. That'll give me some more length on them. You gotta remember, I just started with a random size that I picked in my head. So I'm taking it down. It's still a little bit bigger than 1/4 inch. Probably take 2 more heats to get that down to 1/4. Yeah, Keith. Possum sausage, was it? I think it was Keith. I mean, this is really stupid of me to start doing something that I basically have never made before on a live stream, but yeah. What the hell? I only live once. So I'm bringing it down. Every heat it goes down, it grows a little longer. Yeah, correct. Possum sausage. Yeah, I kind of got into that whole, yeah, I mean, I'm just doing my thing. Sometimes it's fun to figure it out. Sometimes it's not fun because you make the mistakes in front of people. Everybody sees what I make. You know, lots of times they'll see what I make, but they don't see the pile of failures. Oops, not that. But they don't see the piles of failures on the way to it. Especially when you start talking and you almost burn it up. So I got some length there. My mark is still back here, so I got some room to put a taper there and center that back up. I don't know if they're going to be quite as long as I'd like them to be, but I do have to thin out the spring part quite a bit, so yeah, I mean, if I was too worried about it, Thomas, I wouldn't be asking, hey, does anybody want to see something? I'd have been like, well, I'm going to stick with something nice and safe. You know, I'm not too worried about it. I'm human, I make mistakes. Probably as many or more than every other smith out there. I've been doing it a long time, but I don't do it a lot. I don't do it very often. So I do make a lot of mistakes. All right, I can't lose my mark. That is essential to getting it even when I do the other side. So you can see I'm starting to put a taper there and center that up. And like I said earlier, sometimes it takes a couple of few heats to get it done. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Don't try to skip ahead and rush it. You'll just end up with something that looks like crap. Matthew, Josh, and I. Okay, who was Matthew and Josh? I was fighting to bring that down and taper it in there, and all I had to do was just tip it up a little bit, and it went right where I wanted it. Now you can see I got that nice taper drawn down. I'm going to go ahead and round that whole section up. Yeah, Thomas, it would have been great if you'd have been watching last time. I think it was last time I did a stream. And I did a wheat twist, and I had to do the welds. I did the wheat twist, I did the welds, I did every single thing I could think of wrong and still made the weld. My fire was dirty, I could see black spots in the bottom of it. I didn't use any flux, I didn't clean my material. And I just got it to the right heat and went fast. Alright, let me start rounding this up. So I got about half of it rounded up. Now I'll go back and round it right to about there and stop. Oh, look who's here! We were just talking about that guy. I mean, I wasn't talking about you, Shane, but Alexis was. Okay, yeah, Alexis said, never seen you do anything except drink beer and fall off bleachers. Alright, so we got her straightened out, drew out a bunch, pretty much. Yeah, I think this is probably the first time I've had a live stream that more than 3 people showed up. But that doesn't surprise me. I think I have a grand total of 22 subscribers. So now I'm going to grab and twist that end and put it parallel. Alright, so now we're going to play with that end. Oh boy. We all ditched you. That doesn't sound right. We don't usually leave a man behind. Alright. Don't know why it changed. So, maybe I'll draw a little length out there. So you can see I'm drawing that out, making it thinner, and getting some more length on it. That's going to be the part that's going to come in contact with Lexi's hot dog. At some point I do need to make sure that I get a measurement on that length that got drawn out to before I move on to the other side. When you're hammering like this and you're flattening something out, a good way to know how you're progressing is when it gets thin like that, it gets dark where it's thinner, so you watch that. And that'll help you get a nice even thickness. I think I had it closer to where I wanted it in the vise before I pulled it out. Then went over there to tweak just a little bit. Moved it where I didn't want it. All right. Now we got that stepped down and made into the part that we'll just kind of curve later and make I think I want to go ask Rob how I did on my horse head hook pick, then Brian Brazil demoed how it was done, so I couldn't pass that up. Huh. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to cool that end off. If these guys want to see me cut it up with a hot cut, I can, but I'm probably just going to walk over there to the bandsaw and just cut this thing off and get moving, because everybody here has seen it. Alright. So I got it cut off. Once again, I got my mark at 3/4, my mark at 4". Now I can flip this around and start working on that other end. But I need to make sure that I know about how long that taper needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'll do it on both sides of the anvil. I'm going to right here where it starts to taper out. From that edge is from that notch to there. Then I'll come over here and do it here. Put that mark. Now, that should be the only mark that I need, other than how long this is, and I think I'll just eyeball that, to be honest. And if they're not dead even in the end, I can make them the same on the thing there real quick, the belt sander. I just got a bunch of new belts I want to try out. Wherever they went. These are label abrasives. I got a few different grits. Alright, so now we're starting on the other end. I got plenty enough there to make a fork out of later. Next time I want to attempt a fork again. Yeah, I'm still seeing U-built forge or whatever it is. Alright, hang on guys. Before I go any further, I've got to have a massive clinker in here. Not getting much eat up. Whip them in there for now. When that gets full, I clean it out. Yeah, like I said, this is not very good coal, but I got it real cheap. So I'm going to use it. I got 30 or so bags of it. It works. It just a lot of clinker. Keep my chimney up, make it draw a little better. Crap, just pushed all that clinker off in that corner and pulled it right back in. Alright, good enough. Yeah, and somebody was in Ray's stream the other day and said that if you were putting in a forge, you had to have at least double wall pipe. And this is single wall pipe. And I can hold my hand on it. It's warm, but it's not hot. As a matter of fact, that is regular galvanized 12-inch ductwork pipe. Like I said, it just does not get very hot. Alright, so let me isolate my mass. First hit, I'm just going to get it started and get my 2 notches in. And then I'll start busting that down. Without using the guillotine tool. Now this wasn't, the stuff I used at Quad State was actually the Foundry Coke that I had bought there the year before. And I brought it home and I never used it. And the bag sat here for a year, and when I got ready to go back to Quad State, I threw it in the truck, brought it back. And doing it that way, rather than using the more expensive hammer, well, that one there technically cost me $75. Because I did some horse trading for a vise that I bought. And like Shane can tell you, I seem to get good deals on vices. For 3 years in a row, I bought vices to Quad State. The first 2 years were for Alexis and Shane, and then the third year was one that I brought that I was going to sell, but then I didn't want to sit around and babysit it, so I just did some horse trading. But making that without the guillotine tool is an excellent, excellent way to work on your hammer control. And trust me, 2 weeks ago, they didn't look like that. Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks ago. For these guys that don't know, a few weeks ago, about a month ago, I was at my club's meeting, and they hired an outside demonstrator to come in. The outside demonstrator was this guy named Steve Mankowski. And Steve came in and did a demo and said, while he was doing his demo, he said the following week he was doing a class. The demo that I was watching was like 2 hours north of me, and he said that the following weekend he was going to be doing a demo about maybe a little over an hour, hour and a half away from my house in a different direction. So now you can see I'm starting to isolate. I'm going to isolate there, draw that out until it's the same length as this. So anyway, Steve Mankowski was doing his demonstration, and I signed up for his class. He said, I'm going to be teaching a class on basically 18th century, early 18th century cookware. And I thought it sounded cool, so I signed up for it. And then when I got home and I looked it up, what I had actually signed up for was a half cooking, half forging class, where you were going to forge the tools that you needed to cook with. So I just went with it. So you see I'm necking that side down too. And I'll start drawing that taper out until I get it done. Excuse me, down to 1/4 inch. And you'll see once I start drawing, once I get the two ends established, you'll see me tip my hammer like this and drive that corner right in. And that's the same as doing it over the edge of your anvil, or it's more aggressive than over the horn because it's a sharper radius. That'd probably be the next heat. Right now I'm just trying to get a corner established. That was one misstrike. So, heat her back up, and now we're going to start getting aggressive. Like I said, you'll see, watch my hammer. I'm tipping that hammer and I'm driving that corner right in. So, I'm not doing it over the edge of the anvil the way the Brazil guys do it. I've done that a few times. I find that it gets away from me a lot of times. And I go too deep and then I'm past where I need to be. And no, you don't need this fancy hammer. Started drawing. It's coming out pretty good. Whew. No, and what was left of the stuff we used at Quad, I took up and gave it to Tim before I left, because I didn't see a point in hauling coal home. Probably one more heat. And then we can stretch the end. Try to get it to kind of match the first end for length and width. Where'd everybody go? Everybody quit talking. Now I got nothing to talk about. Okay. What I really need is to put my bifocals on, because I have a hard time getting this nice and even without them. Well, I would do less yak yak if you guys would talk more amongst yourselves. Yeah, there was I don't know, a third of a bag left or something like that, Tim. I'm pretty sure, I thought I told you. Maybe you weren't there and I just dropped it. Now, as long as I don't do an Alexis and burn it off, now that I'm starting to get closer to the end, okay? We're getting pretty close to the other side. Into the words for the boy. Oh, all right, hang on a sec. Yeah, Alexis can tell you, last weekend I did a forge weld, and then right after I did the forge weld, I dug out like a whole shovel full of clinker. And I'm a firm believer in that old saying that forge welding wasn't hard until Ladana said it was. The other thing I don't like about this coal is I get a lot of clinker, but like some of the other coal I run, if you just kill your air and wait a couple seconds, that clinker will form like a nice solid donut and you can pull it right up out easily. And this stuff does not do that. All right, got that done. Let's get back to it. Oh, we're not that late anyway. Be right back in a sec. Okay, thanks for the warning. Alright, so I'm getting pretty close to the length I want to be. So now I'm not hitting it as hard, I'm just moving it up. Trying to get it even. Get it out there to the length. That I think it needs to be before I start rounding it up. Because you got to remember, the mark on my anvil is after it was rounded. So I think we're pretty good now. Alright, let's start rounding that. I think these are going to end up being a little short, Lexi, but we get the basic idea from them. And they're going to grow quite a bit in length if I draw a lot over the edge when I do the spring. All right, start rounding. that's rounded up, now we'll round up the other half, and we'll work on centering it. Then we'll go in and start drawing out that. They're a grower, not a, oh yeah. Well, I mean, they're growing from where they started, because you got to remember, I started with 8 8/3s 11 and another 1.5 inches, 12.5 inches. I don't know what it's at right now, but longer than 12.5. Well, you weren't gone that long. I would have just snuck off and not said anything. Nobody would have noticed, Thomas. Pretty cool. Alright, so now we're drawn out, rounded up. We'll work on getting this tapered down like that side. Tapered down to the center. I got some fire bricks stacked back here, and I just leave a little gap there so that if I'm working something long, I can push it through, and that just keeps the coal from going all over the place. I built a little wall there on this side and this side. And when I say I built it, I just set some blocks there. And I take them out when they're in the way, put them back whenever I can to help contain my material and keep everything where it belongs. Alright, so now I'm tapering out the other part and trying not to go past the mark. We're getting there, getting the taper, just got to get it centered up. No point in moving on if we don't get that right now. It's just going to show up later, times 10. A little bit longer. As you can see, my anvil moves all over the place. And I like to leave my anvil free so that I can spin it. Sometimes I'll have the horn over on this side, sometimes over on that side. Sometimes I want this sharp edge, sometimes I want this rounded edge. reason why I'm straightening this is probably going to go all cattywampus anyway. But that looks pretty decent to move on. Now I got to make that kind of match that. So that was another neat trick that I learned. Was Steve would be working on something, and you know, when you go to cool that piece down because it's getting a little hot where you're holding it, you know, you'd always grab onto it with a pair of tongs where it was hot and dip your handle end in. Well, he'd just hold it in his hand and stick his whole hand down in. Leave the hot piece sticking up out of the slack tub. It was a small, tiny thing, but I thought it was pretty neat. Alright, let me get a good heat on this and we'll draw that down over the far edge. Get some length in it. What the heck happened there? I started drawing it out, and for some reason it kicked right to one side on me. Not really sure why. Maybe I just hit it in the wrong spot once, so I think I can go over to the vise and straighten that up. Take another heat, but you can see I pushed it back to the center. Whew, man. Maybe I can do something here. Alright. So I don't know if you guys saw that. You see that big line right there? What I did was I had all the material was on this side. And I wanted to bring some that way. So I set it right there and hammered it and brought that material over from the other side. For the horn as well as it seems like less effort to clean up. You do, but right here I have about a 3/8 of an inch radius in this area, and that's where I'll do most of my drawing. Out here it's sharp. You don't want to draw out there. But it's also very easy to go way past where you want to be doing that. Which is why I kind of prefer to tip the hammer and dig it in. I got a little uneven there, but I think probably what I'll do is just leave it and we'll grind that out later and make these identical, the same size on both ends, perfect. You know, I mean, in the old days, it wouldn't have been too uncommon. They'd have filed it. So it's not like totally historically inaccurate. Alright, let me heat up that center section. That's still 1/4 by 3/4 in that area. Well, the horn does leave you less to clean up. There's no doubt about that. It's a bigger radius, but it also doesn't draw as fast. It's not as aggressive because it's bigger, but it's easier to clean up because it's bigger. But once I get this done, I'll grab a piece and I'll show you the difference between, I'll do like 2 heats here, 2 heats out on the horn. Maybe 3 heats. 1 to really draw it, and then 2 to clean it up. And over the horn, I'll probably do 2 drawing and 1 to clean up, and I'll probably get more off the edge of the anvil. Like I said, these aren't going to be the biggest tongs for drill, that's for sure. But when I started out, you know, I made a couple measurements. I just did it in my head thinking, this much is probably going to draw out to this much. I did lose a lot for scale. A couple times I got it really hot and burned away a little bit of metal. But all right, so now we're going to start drawing this out. You can see it's full of notches, but I'm still pretty thick. And like I said, a lot of times I don't use either. Like I said, a lot of times I don't use either. I just tip my hammer and drive that corner in. Years and years and years ago, a blacksmith, when I was first starting out, told me he had a square hammer like this, square face, and he said that what he said, and I quote, was, "I think of my hammer as 4 fullers and a flatter." And while he was working, he'd watch him. He'd tip it, draw that way, tip it, draw that way. He'd tip it this way or that way. And do most of his drawing right with that face of that anvil, or hammer. So a lot of times I'll do that. It's going to take a few heats to draw that out and get it down real thin. It is what it is. If I wanted to go fast, I'd just go over there and hit it a few times in the power hammer. And it could be that your edges are too sharp. If they're sharp, they will dig in. And a lot of it's just getting used to it. Because it's real easy to go too far if you're not used to doing it that way. We're getting there. She's drawing down. You can see the marks. The marks, all them divots is letting you know that you're drawing it out. I mean, that started out, it was only 3 inches. Getting hot, let me cool it down. Alright, a couple more heats and then we should be ready to roll that around and then just straighten everything up and even it out. I may gratuitous butt shot. My butt is not too sexy. Now I'm just taking marks out, evening it up. Getting it back down to size. You can't be afraid to get that down thin because you want it to flex. Right now, for the most part, that's still almost 1/8 of an inch through most of it. So we're going to go more. The thinner it is, the easier it'll spring. But But we're not going to go a lot more. We're not going to go to 16. We're going to go just a little bit more. I don't know how I let Alexis talk me into this one. All right, let me work one edge. Right now what I'm doing is, it's still kind of thick in where that taper is, in that area. I don't know if you can see that. Where this taper is, it's still kind of thick in that area. So I'm trying to thin that up a little more, match the rest. Every heat it's getting a little bit longer. And then if I wanted to make it thinner and not as wide, skinnier through that area, then it'd get even longer. Material's got to go somewhere. But in the future, I would probably go the same 3/4 on the very end, and then maybe 5 or 6 inches, and then my 3 inches or so for the hinge. Instead of 4, I'd give myself 1 or 2 more inches. Alright, so now I got that thinned out. I'm going to go do the other end, then I'm going to straighten it up. Then we'll be ready to move on. I knew that section was going to take a while because once you start getting it down real thin, it cools really, really fast. That's what she said. What's what she said? See, now I'm not going to stand in front of the camera. I'm coming over here so that I don't give that gratuitous butt shot. Hopefully one more heat just to line this up. Oh, it gets longer with every heat, yeah. Yeah, Tim, we got to kind of keep it clean. There's another woman in this stream that I don't really know very well. So I don't know how easily offended she is, so. That side there is not too bad. We've got a nice taper. It's pretty centered, straight off the end. You can see it's out of plane, needs to be twisted, but that's not a big deal. That's easy to fix. Now I'm going to cool that end and I'm going to come back. I'm going to give it a little twist and fix it. Then I'm going to cool that end, come back to the other end and try to get that end a little bit better looking like the first end. Well, which was the second end. And it's getting pretty hot on that, where I got to grab it too. All right, let's cool that off. The end that I was working, I'm going to come back and I'm just going to smooth this up and make it tapered in and centered. You can see it's all up to that one side. Then after that, I think I'll probably cool the whole thing, go over to the sander real quick and just touch them ends up, make sure they're the same length, same width, nice and round and roughly the same shape. And then we can come back and put a little curve in the ends and then fold it in the center. Yeah, and one of the other reasons I don't like using the horn is because if you watch, a lot of people, they're on a horn that's not bolted down real securely. And you watch it and they'll be drawing out over the horn and the anvil's rocking. And you're like, well, if that anvil's rocking like that, then you're losing energy. Because you're wasting energy rocking the anvil that you could be using putting it into the anvil. Okay, I need about maybe 1.5 inches here of taper down into it. Alright, now that's centered-ish. Alright, I'm going to cool this whole thing off. Alright, this one is a little bit longer than that one. So before I go any farther, I need to fix a couple little things. First thing, I want to be careful doing this because I don't want to break it. I'm going to come over to my And a lot of times I cheat. Just grab I'll just grab a pair of dividers. And I'll open it up to about that length. Then I can come over here and see that I'm about the same length. So I'm good there. Not bad because I was eyeballing it. Then I'll open it up to my narrower one. You see that I only have to take maybe a 1/16 of an inch off that end to make it the same size. Alright, so now I got both them ends halfway decent. Throw a swedge block up in there. Grab a straight peen. Put that little curve in there on both ends. I worked it too cold and it fell off. It cracked right off. But once again, a good example of people see the stuff you make, but they don't see the attempts that you made that went wrong. So we'll just imagine that other end's still there, even though it went flying off over there into a pile of strap. I mean, I could take the MIG welder and put it back on there, but I probably won't. I'll just finish this up as if it was still there. Well, this is bolted down good, and I like the tire. I mean, I've had that on that mount since I started blacksmithing. So for 25 years, it's been bolted onto that. And I've used the hell out of it. Now, if I was doing it, and I still had the end, both ends, first off I got to push it back that way a little bit, which is hard to do now that that end's broke off, but I'm just going to take a real good heat and move it by hand. Put a point on the broken end and curl it, it will still work as a set of tongs. Yeah, it probably will. I'll be honest with you, I'm probably just not going to finish them. You know, they'll sit in that pile of reject parts, but see, now I'd come in and I'd put a spacer in there. Slide that spacer down in there. And then fix this up. Now I'm fumbling it with it. Look like a monkey fornicating a football. It's a little elongated, and I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I love using my vise every chance I can get to make something easier. So I'm just going to clamp it there. When I tap this down, I can tap it down. I can push it to one side or the other to get it more centered. Until I get, until I get a nice loop on the end. Yeah, I got a kick out of it today. There was two of the new guys there at the meeting, and they got welding gloves on, you know. I turned to the one and I was like, you know, stop being a little sissy and take the gloves off. If you touch something hot, after enough times you'll stop doing it. Alright, so if I was going to make a set of barbecue tongs, that's probably how I would do it. And just not break the other piece off. And like I said, I'd probably start out and give myself, instead of 4 inches, I'd give myself 6 inches. And you can see, even though I started with the same amount, I overheated it a couple times on this one side. So this side is quite a bit smaller than that side in diameter. If this side was the bigger side, then I probably would stretch it out a little more and then just bend a hook on it and make it so that I can grab whatever. Yeah, when you're using a chisel or you're holding the chisel right close to it, I can see the need for a glove then, but I mean, when you're, man, I'm not even going to finish this. I don't understand why it's bothering me that it's not straight, but I'm not even going to finish it. So I'd use, if you start with the 1/4 by 3/4 that I started with, if you start with that, I'd use the same 3/4 for this. 3/4. Instead of starting with 4 inches here, I'd go 6 inches, and I'd leave that the same 3 in the center for the spring. I mean, you could go 4 if you wanted that loop a little bit bigger, but you definitely need more length. And you can see, when they're that thin, they're nice and easy to push in. I mean, I'm not way out here. I'm back here pushing it together. But you know what else I could do, Thomas? I could just cut that end off and trim that end nice and trim that end nice, and then I can have a set of chopsticks for people who are horrible with chopsticks. And when you're eating your rice, you can go, you know. All right. Yeah, and Thomas, you're a great learning tool, because today at the meeting I watched somebody fumbling with a pair of tongs that did not fit well, and I pulled out the video and showed it, the picture of you during the competition. And all I'm going to say is, we seem to be getting a lot of video of Thomas teaching people what not to do if they don't want to get hurt. Then I got a little door on my Ford I can close right up at night. I'll leave it open for a little bit longer. But when I get ready to leave, I'll close that up, and then all my heat doesn't go up the chimney. Lesson learned and quick adjustment to the project. Yeah. So what I made tonight, totally on purpose, was a set of handicap chopsticks for those who can't use chopsticks. Perfect. Cut a spork. It's a little late. It's a little late to cut a spork on the end. I have chopsticks now. Who knows? Maybe the next one, I'll grab out a piece. I'll use the measurements that I figured I should use instead of what I did use. Add a couple more inches in here to start with. Probably I'll make that 4 instead of 3 maybe, and keep them 3/4. That was just about the right size for hot dogs. I mean, if I hadn't lost the end, I would take some time and round that up and make it look nicer. But pretty much now it will go over here in this pile of failures. For the world to see. At my new job, there's one of the guys asked me where I worked at, where I was working now at the blacksmith meeting, and when I said where I worked, one of the guys that works where I work in a different department on a different shift was at our blacksmith meeting, and he's an office guy. He's in charge. Basically, he's efficiency. He was, one of them efficiency guys to look up more efficient ways to do the things and make more profit and this, that, and the other thing. And I told him if he even fucking thought about coming at us, and making us work harder than we have to, we'd stab him right in the back. And, oh look, Jack Pines. Well, not really a blacksmith, Jack. We started out the stream, and I made a hold down, with a nice right angle, upset corner, hold down that would reach farther out in my anvil than this one. Not that I really needed it, because I have a few of them. But I finished that so fast that I decided that I would make myself a set of chopsticks for Americans that don't know how to eat with chopsticks. So I made this set of chopsticks so that I can eat my Chinese food. And actually what happened was this was supposed to be a set of barbecue tongs, and the piece that was on the end on one of these busted off, and so I just cut the other one off and threw it in my scrap pile. I hope you're selling those, as I don't know anyone who needs more than they have ambles. No, Jack, I really aren't selling them. I mean, I kind of like, you know, if somebody says, oh, I need one, I'd give them to them. Pretty much that one there. I like that real short one. And I have this longer one. Those are the two I use. The rest of them were all just goofing around. But the one today didn't turn out too bad. I didn't cheat. I rounded that up with the hand hammer, so it would, excuse me, fit in the hole good. It locks in. It's a good way to check it. If you can pick that anvil up, then it's good. What size is your pitchel hole, Thomas? Yeah, they weren't really chopsticks, Jack. They were, it was supposed to be a set of barbecue tongs. Lexi said, I finished off the, the hold down so fast. I mean, that took like maybe half an hour. And then after that, I was like, anybody got any suggestions? Lexi said barbecue tongs. So I started making these. Like I said, the one end broke off, and then I just walked over and cut the other end off. The piece is laying in somewhere over by my bandsaw, but I don't see it right off the top of my head. I had to move cameras to get over into the backside there. Like I said, Thomas, what size is your pitchel hole? And do you want a short one or a long one? Because, like, a short one like that, see, this one doesn't even fit in my my hardy hole, or my pitchel hole is too small. Where's my other short one? There. Here's my other short one. With the short one, it's closer to your thing, but it holds a lot tighter. But the long one will get you out closer to the face of your anvil, or the center working area over the waist. Yeah, get back with me. I can whack out one of these really quick. I mean, I don't know how much of that yeah, I don't know how much of the holdfast you saw before, or I had done before you came in, but if you were here from the beginning like Lexi was, Lexi can tell you I whacked that out in maybe 20-25 minutes. It was definitely less than half an hour. That's why I didn't want to end the stream that I started this other project, but this other project we were winging it. So I just grabbed the bar, said I want to leave 3/4 for this piece, 4 inches for this piece, 3 inches for this piece, and then just went at it and started making it. And that door's closed, it keeps all my heat from going up the chimney. Turn my fan off. Put my hammers in the rack. Tongs away. Hang my tools up. I believe it's the same size as yours. Yeah, well, when I measured mine, Thomas, it's an odd, weird size. Zero. I mean, just right there, it's 0.616. I think before when I measured it, I got 615 in a different spot. Not surprising, it's not a... Got the sides into triangles on the chopsticks, and you have Chuborn's glass blowing tongs. Oh yeah, well, the tongs are glass blowing fullers, and they use them basically to do almost the same as we do with fullers or guillotine tools in glass. I've got a buddy that he worked for the Corning Museum of Glass down in Corning, New York, and he's been all over the world. He's world famous, and in talking to him, I made him years ago a couple different size ones that were basically similar to that. Only these were like 1/2 inch, 3/8. But I also used a power hammer too, which let me smooth them out a lot smoother, took a lot of the hammer marks out, although these really aren't that bad. I mean, going in with a hand hammer, I got that pretty smooth and pretty even. Because if you're going to do a bend in a spring like that, the smoother and the flatter it is, the better it'll work. Yeah, I knew what you meant. Draw. Oh, man. Yeah, well, I'm going to try to get out here this winter and do some more live streams and stuff during the winter. I mean, I heat this shop, and sometimes I heat it, and then the whole winter goes by. I come out 2-3 times all winter, so I've been trying to come out every Sunday. You know, every weekend, come out and spend 1 or 2 days. Most of the time it's just a 1 day. And, you know, most of the time when I come out, I'll just throw this on, live stream. Whoever pops in, pops in. Like I said, I'm not used to having more than 3 people in my live stream at the same time. So, but I do plan on, you know, this winter doing some more live streams and stuff from the shop. I just don't know what I'm going to make yet. Like today, I went to my my meeting for my blacksmith group here in New York, and when I got out of the meeting, I didn't have a whole lot of energy, so I came home and decided, oh, I'll do a nice easy hold fast. Got 5 right now. Got 5 what? Now those that know me know that I'm a big fan of my sister's model to send after should be done printed with the, oh. Okay, but it was a 3D printing stream then. I don't want to see that. I want to see blacksmithing, Jack. Blacksmithing. But yeah, every year when I go to Quad State, I buy a couple more. Because they're not the cheapest things in the world. But I really like those tongs. But before I got these, I had a lot of my tongs were the Ken's Custom Iron, were the tong blanks, where they're cut out and all you do is round up the handle, you know, round up like those are strolling tongs. And if you're starting out, like here's a set. These are Ken's. I didn't even knock the corners off or round them up because I don't really use them ever. But that's a set for grabbing railroad spikes. Holds them pretty well. But if these guys need tongs, I highly recommend when you're starting out and you don't have the money to buy the good tongs, use the quick and the rapid tongs. And they come as blanks like this. Cut right out, and all you got to do is rivet them together, put a couple bends in them, and you got a pair of tongs. They're not the best tongs. Don't get me wrong, I will never give these up. I will never give these ones up for them. But even with the other tongs, I was able to do so much more just by having good tongs that fit. Because if you're struggling to hold it, you're going to struggle to forge it. So if you're just starting out, highly recommend those tongs. I even got, my wife bought me this set. Hang on. Quarter, 3/8, half, 5/8. My wife even bought me this set. Look. These are Devors. They are dirt cheap. But they're better than nothing. If you look, I got a tong rack hanging here. On the other side of my forge, I got another tong rack that's almost completely full, 2 rows. But most of them tongs over there are tongs I don't use anymore. Yes, they're very chunky. And that's why I'm not a big, huge fan of them. I mean, when I was starting out, some of my tongs I started out, that was just made from bar stock. fits 5/8 until I got this pair of 5/8. Last year when I went to Quad State, I used these. Yeah, these V-bores are super cheap. They're super chunky. Yeah, all right, Thomas. Give me a measurement and I'll whip you out a holdfast. They're pretty darn easy to make. Especially if I'm not doing a stream and I go over there and I do most of it on the power hammer. Then all I really got to do is upset my corner first. After that's done, maybe 5 minutes to do the whole thing after the corner's upset. I have to do that by hand though. Can't do that in the power hammer. And hammers. One of these days I'll have to take one of my cameras and set it up on the other side. I've got a rack back there that's full of hammers. Now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. About 40 different hammers back there. That includes some top tools, like a hot cutter and a set hammer, a flatter. All right, Thomas is going to give me a measurement on that Pritchell. Oh. It is 5/8. Mine's almost 5/8, pretty close, and I found that 1/2 inch works really well in a 5/8 Pritchell. You want that out of mild or spring steel? Well, look at that, almost 9 o'clock. Yeah, like I said, Shane, my Pritchell hole measures 0.615 or 0.614, somewhere in there. So it's actually just under 5/8. But you also got to remember too, that if you make that, okay, when your holdfast goes in, okay, if it were the same exact size or just had a little clearance, it wouldn't hold itself in. It has to tip in the hole to lock itself in. Spring would be great. So you want a longer one to come out closer to the face, or you want a shorter one that grips harder? Longer one comes out, shorter one grips harder. And one spot is more like 9/16. Okay. Yeah. And oh, Thomas, does it have a? Is the Hardy hole or your Pritchell hole out in the tail, or is it one of them ones that's way up in here? Because what I found is that if you got the anvil where the Pritchell hole is way up here and it's really thick, Hardys don't work well, or holdfasts don't work very well in them. Because they have to tip in there, so they're locking themselves against the top and the bottom to lock themselves in. And if that hole's too deep, they don't tip. Yeah, so if yours is 9/16 in one spot, then a 1/2 inch diameter shank will fit in yours. It's like here's one of the other style ones, and that's just plain 1/2 inch. I've never even hit that part of it with the hammer. Yep, 1/2 will be perfect. Yeah, I'll whip them out. I got some spring steel here laying around. That's a little bigger than 1/2. It'll make one. Okay. Yeah, like I said, holdfast just don't work good in the ones where they got to go through a real thick section, because they have to cock in order to lock in the hole. Whew. This one here I made out of a spring. I actually broke it and then welded it back together. Mine is in the tail. It's a 120 bolt. Yeah. Yeah, probably next weekend I'll get around to making one. All right, guys, I'm going to call it. It's 9 o'clock here where I'm at. I'm going to go in and eat my dinner, relax for a little while, and then go to bed. So I will talk to everybody. Thanks, everybody that tuned in. It was pretty good. Like I said, I think the most I ever had in a stream before was 3 people. So I had 3 people in this stream for almost the whole stream. So that's doing pretty good. All right, guys. I'll see everybody around.